Hey everyone, I'm going to be going over my first paycheck that I'm going to be using to budget for the month of March. This paycheck is paid today, February 28th. So let's go ahead and get started. I have $2,298.24 to budget out. Usually it's about 2,500 something, but I did decide to increase my 457B contribution from 6% up to 16%. I'd initially lowered it down because I wanted to save extra money towards traveling, but I won't be doing that anymore. So for March, or at least I'll still be setting aside money for travel, but there's really no one trip that I need to specifically save for. So for March, I want to set aside $1,275. That's my usual monthly rent amount, but I like keeping about 3 months of expenses because I did cash out about $3,000 out of my brokerage last year in November, and I used that to just get ahead on rent. I don't like budgeting like a month ahead or 2 months ahead in the YNAB software. It's just not my vibe anymore. I used to do that, and it used to be really calming when I had my house and I had all my bills accounted for a month or 2 months ahead in the system, but now I just like to see all of my money in just 1 month. And I'm not as stressed out as I was when I used to own a house. So utilities, $100. I had about $75 left over, but I moved that over to cover some overspending with the traveling. Aside from travel expenses, I did go shopping in Tokyo, and they're just so affordable, but it still adds up because I got so much stuff, and I totally failed my no spend for the month of February. So for phone, I'm gonna set aside $114 as usual. Groceries, I was gonna set aside $300, so I'll do that. Renter's insurance, household is usually $10.70. Okay. Household, I'll do $50. I had the target set at 100. Okay, I had the target set at 100, but now I feel like it's enough with $50. And health, I'm gonna set aside $80 for health. I did get sick, and I still am sick. I slept until 2 p.m. today, and I never ever do that because I drank some medicine. I never really drink medicine, but I mean, if the medicine's there, why not use it, you know? Like, I don't know. Okay, so subscriptions, $33 I'm gonna be setting aside, and the rest is just gonna go to transportation. So $335.54 there. And that's it for my first paycheck. Usually my first paycheck just covers all of my living expenses and necessities. Oh, but Roth IRA, my Roth IRA, where is it? My Roth IRA and my brokerage. Whoops. Never mind. That comes first because I do have quite a bit under transportation, $1,350. I'm just gonna leave that blank, leave it for next paycheck, and I'm gonna set aside the half for my Roth and the half for my brokerage. I am kind of thinking of stopping my automatic investing for the brokerage and just really focus in on putting money into my retirement accounts, which is the Roth IRA and the 457B. But for now, it's there, and that's the beauty about auto investing. As you can see, even when you don't want to do it anymore, since it's already in the system to auto invest, it takes you forever to go and cancel it. So we're just gonna leave that there. And so 1888 is left. Going back to transportation, we'll add 1888 and be good with that. All right, next I wanted to go over my expenses. I hardly ever go over my expenses on here. Whenever I go to the spending breakdown on the YNAB reports or reflect, it always asks me to refresh the page. So it's maybe because I have toolkits for YNAB as well. So for February 2025, as you can see, let's go to groups. Wow, that's a lot of money. Oh, it's because it's counting my investments, $2,298. what would it be without it? All categories. Not counting payroll deductions or investments. Let's see. So $5,322.44. So I'm gonna write this down because I'm gonna put it in my Google Sheets tracker. So that's spending. It's like moving a lot. So that's spending. Okay, so as you can see, for living, it's pretty good. $15.44 just to live, and that counts in my rent. Health, groceries was $131 because I was gone for half of the month. Utilities, $95. Woot woot, right on. It's pretty good. Phone is $71.42, and that covers 3 lines. I think it gave a credit because my cousin gave me some money to cover her line. Usually it's $114. And subscriptions $32.48, which is Spotify and Netflix. I don't think that's bad at all. So let's go and look at giving is $921 is Sweet Place. So as you can see, most of it is my travel category. Clothing, I spent $217 on clothing, which is a lot, but I got 1 pair of jeans, a jean jacket that I've always wanted, and a bunch of shirts and stuff. It was just there's just so many cute things in Tokyo. I couldn't help myself, and I spent so much money on gifts, Kit Kat chocolates, pens that I'm gonna be giving away, and more chocolates. So it was, and I didn't want to stress over it. I'm like, this is a once in a lifetime trip. Hopefully not. My boyfriend really wants to go back, but it is an extended trip. The flight there is like 11 hours, for goodness sake. It's the longest flight I've ever had, and I was very calm. Usually I get flight anxiety, but I was reading, there's like a Reddit thread of people that fear flying, and I was reading their experiences, and it just made me feel better, I think. So yeah, that's February. Let's go ahead and go and review my money Google Sheets. I revamped it. As you can see, it definitely looks different from like 2022. Ooh. I totally stopped tracking my money goals, basically because everything is in auto investing. So as long as I used to set aside money, and whatever I had left over, every little single cent I try to throw into investments, etc., etc. And so obviously some months I would invest a little more than other months, and I just wanted to track my goals. But now that everything's on auto invest, I don't need to stay on top of it so much, because as long as that keeps going, I'm gonna meet my goals no matter what. But I did realize I do like tracking like my paycheck and how much of my money is deducted out from my paycheck, so that I can get my overall savings rate. Okay. And as you can see, my savings rate is 29% this month, because I did increase again my 457B contribution. Usually it would take like a month for it to update in the system, or a month and a half, but there was a new law that was passed during the Biden administration, I believe, that required them to make sure that the change would reflect in the next pay period. So the change happened right away. And there's a cop. So the change happened right away, and this is just counting one paycheck. So by March, my deduction for my 457B, it's gonna be even more. I think so. 526 plus 526 is 1,050, plus 141 plus 141, that's 280. So at least like $1,300. For my Roth IRA is $583, $50, and yeah, that looks good. Now, I wanted to show you guys my little charts. These are so cute. This chart, Costify, was inspired by Control Freak on YouTube, and this one, I believe I got the format from Millennial Money Honey. The lifetime's earnings, I started tracking it because I read Your Money or Your Life, and they let you know that you should track all the money you've ever earned to make sure that you are saving and keeping that amount instead of just throwing it away on things that don't matter. So far, I feel like I spend money on good things, so I don't feel too guilty about that, but it's nice to see overall savings rate. Of course, this isn't like just what I've earned and just what I've saved. It also reflects the increase in the market. So by investing overall, I've been able to kind of keep more of what I've earned and make it grow. And then I keep the HOA here because I do live in a condominium in a place with condos, and my landlord raises my rent by the amount the HOA goes up. If it stays the same, then my rent stays the same. So that's why there's a random note of HOA right there. Coast FI. So Coast FI, this is what I would have by the time I hit 49, and that's pretty much my financial independence number. So if I didn't invest any more money, I could pretty much reach my goal by just coasting until 49 years old. However, if I decide to keep working just because I like health insurance, etc., etc., actually by 49, I would qualify for health insurance coverage once my pension hits at 52. But if I want to keep my employer-based health insurance, I'd have to stay on for 52 until 52, and then my income would go up 30,000. And this isn't even counting the pension that I would get. The pension would be an added like $20,000. So yeah, but I don't count the pension into this Coast FI calculator. And then for financial independence progress, I have decided that my financial independence goal or number is 500,000 because I have the advantage of either retiring in the United States if I would like to, or retiring in Mexico, or at least live there for a good amount of years so that I could keep my expenses low and then come back over here if I ever need to go on hospice. The one thing that Mexico may not have is hospice. So yeah, I'm a social worker and I don't like it, but I find it interesting reading books about people's experiences at their end of life. And so what I've realized is I probably want to be on hospice here in the United States. But yeah, that's that. So with that said, oh, this is wrong. So format, number, automatic. Okay, so in 2020, my progress, I was at 9.11%. This is so exciting. 9.11% progress. And now this is just counting my invested assets. So 203,000 so far. Now I'm at 40.67%. Halfway through. I would probably be more than halfway through if I counted my pension, but again, I most likely won't cash out my pension if I ever leave my employer. It depends what happens, but or get laid off. Who knows if it'll catch us at the local level, but yeah, it just all depends. If I cash out my pension, I'm over the 50% mark, but we'll see. Healthcare is not a right here in the United States right now, so we'll see. That's pretty much it. Thank y'all. Oh, last thing, one more thing. I always do this. I read, I think it was John Bogle, or someone gave me the idea of always having your expected allocations written out or have like a personal finance statement. It might have been Rob Berger. Have a personal finance statement so that you can refer to it even in times of crisis. So years ago, I decided to include or incorporate international stocks, and I honestly never thought that there would come a time where I would be grateful to have international stocks, but I did it anyway because of everything that I read, all the books I read, And yeah, now I'm grateful that I do have items in international stocks. Even though companies are kind of linked together globally now, it's still nice to have a little bit in there. So every February on a random day, I set a reminder to reallocate or rebalance. So I did that this month already, and so far my stock portfolio is 15% international, 85% US. And I did write it down, but then I lost it. I just wrote it down here. So starting at 40 years old, I want to increase the international allocation a little bit more into 20%. At 45, I'm going to start adding bonds into my allocation, which is 20% bonds. 55, I'm going to increase bonds again to 25%. And then at 65 years old, I want to be 60-40. So 60% stocks, 40% bonds. And I decided to just add this little note here because this is pretty much like my financial agreement to myself, or my financial statement, so that I can stick to it. And no matter what happens, whether I have fear or whatever's happening in the news, anything like that, I just see this and I just stick to it. Now, I had already done this before, but again, I lost it. I had it in my head, so I never thought of deviating from it, but then I couldn't remember what I'd agreed to do after I hit certain ages, so I just have it written down there. And I think it's something that everybody should do. Thank you guys so much for watching. That's pretty much it. I hope you guys have a good day.